In the previous class, we have seen the circuit of a half-wave rectifier, and we have seen its operation, and we have also seen one of the parameters, that is the average or DC value of the load current. Right? We have derived the expression for IDC, that is the DC load current, and from that we have also got the expression for VDC, that is DC output voltage. So next parameter that we have is the RMS value or the AC value of the load current, that is called IRMS. Why we need this RMS value is RMS stands for root mean square. So whenever we take AC quantities, what gives the exact picture of an AC quantity is its RMS value. Okay, we know an AC quantity will have a peak value, right? So if you represent, we have represented I naught as Im sine omega t, or V naught as, or V as Vm sine omega t, right? So the Vm is the peak amplitude, Vm or Im is the peak amplitude, but that is not the only thing that is enough to describe the AC signal, right? So and average value also does not give the clear picture, because when you are taking average, what you're going to do is you're adding up and then finding the average. You're adding up and dividing by the period, right? You're adding the values for one cycle, you're integrating for one cycle and dividing by the period. So if you consider an AC signal like a complete sinusoidal signal, it will have positive peak, it will have positive half cycle and also negative half cycle. So if you take the average of that, it will become zero, right? If you take average of a complete sine wave for one particular cycle, its average value will become zero. But does that mean that the voltage or current was zero? No, right? Because when you take average, it will add up positive and negative, which are essentially the same on both the sides. So that's why the average term will become zero, but still there is some voltage in both the, I mean, in both the, with both the polarities, or current in both the directions. So to describe AC signal in a better way, we have another way of representing it, that is RMS value. In RMS, what we do is we square the value. We square the value. When we square, the negative also becomes positive, right? We square the values, then find the average, and then find the square root. If square the value, then find the average, and then find the square root. So it is root mean square. We find the square root of the average of the squares. So how to do that for your load current? Your load current is I naught. If you want to find the IRMS or RMS value of the load current, you need to integrate the I naught square. You have to first square that particular I naught, find its average, and then find the square root. Okay. So to find the average, you have to integrate it. Area under one cycle of I naught square divided by the period of I naught square. So what is I naught square? I naught square, if area under one cycle of I naught square is nothing but integration of I naught square. One cycle means from 0 to 2 pi. And what is the period of I naught square? See, period of I naught is 2 pi. If you square, the period will still remain the same. The period will not be squared. The period of I naught square is also 2 pi. Okay, so you get as 2 pi. So integrating this, now again, this I naught is not the same from 0 to 2 pi. Its value is different from 0 to pi and pi to 2 pi. That's why I can split the integrals and write it like this. 0 to pi I naught is Im sine omega t, and from pi to 2 pi I naught is 0, right? In case of half wave rectifier, from 0 to pi the value is Im sine omega t, from pi to 2 pi I naught is 0. So if I split the integrals like this, I'll get it like this. I naught square is Im square sine square omega t, and here it is 0. So integration of 0, this term becomes essentially 0, right? And here I have Im square term, which is unrelated to omega t. So I can keep this outside the integral, Im square. And since this is inside the square root, if I bring it outside, Im square, if I bring it outside, it will become Im, right? It will become Im. I can keep that Im outside. And what remains is integration of 1 by 2 pi into integration of sine square omega t d omega t. Integration of sine square omega t d omega t. So this sine square omega t, we know the formula for sine square omega t. Sine square omega t is 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. Can I write it like this? Sine square omega t is 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. That's why in place of sine square omega t, I have substituted 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. Is it right? Then this 2 in the denominator, I can bring it outside the integral. It will become 1 by 4 pi, right? It will become 1 by 4 pi. So then that will be, I can split this integral into 2. It is 1 minus cos 2 omega t. It is integration of 1 with respect to omega t minus integration of cos 2 omega t d omega t, right? Integration of 1 with respect to omega t minus integration of cos 2 omega t d omega t. So this 1 by 4 pi, this 4, if I take it outside the square root, what will be the value? What is square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2. So if I bring it outside, I'll get Im divided by 2, right? It is Im divided by 2 outside. Then 1 by pi will remain 1 by pi into integration of 1 with respect to omega t. Integration of 1 is omega t. And what is integration of cos 2 omega t? Integration of cos 2 omega t is sine 2 omega t divided by 2, right? Integration of cos 2 omega t is sine 2 omega t divided by 2. So if I integrate and put the limits are from 0 to pi, right? What do you get? Omega t, if you apply the limits from 0 to pi, it will be pi minus 0. Then sine 2 omega t by 2, it is sine 2 pi minus sine 0. So what is pi minus 0? Pi minus 0 is pi. What is sine 2 pi? Sine 2 pi is 0. Sine 0 is also 0, right? So this entire term will become 0, and what will remain is only pi, right? In this particular part, what will remain is only pi. So there is 1 by pi here, 1 by pi and pi, they get cancelled. And what remains? 1 by pi and pi, they get cancelled. What remains is just Im by 2. So this is the value of RMS value or AC value of the load current. IRMS is Im by 2. That means it is half of the peak value. IRMS is half of the peak value. That is Im by 2. So based on this IRMS, you can next find VRMS. That is RMS or AC value of the output voltage. So VRMS we can find as IRMS into RL, right? Voltage is equal to current into resistance. So IRMS into RL. What is IRMS? We have found IRMS to be Im by 2 into RL. And what is Im in terms of voltage? Im is Vm divided by Rf plus RL, right? Im is Vm divided by Rf plus RL. This RL remains as it is. Now again I can rearrange this and write as Vm by 2 into RL divided by Rf plus RL, right? Vm by 2 into RL divided by Rf plus RL. So this is my value of VRMS. And just like we have done in the case of VDC, if I divide throughout by RL by RL is 1, RF by RL plus RL by RL is 1. So I will get it like Vm by 2 divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. This is another way of representing VRMS. Okay, another way of representing VRMS, Vm by 2 divided by 1 plus Rf by R. Then if you consider a special case of an ideal diode where Rf is equal to 0, in case of ideal diode, Rf is 0, so the denominator will be 1. So VRMS will be just Vm by 2. Okay, VRMS will be Vm by 2. This is only for an ideal diode, right? So we have obtained the value of IRMS as Im by 2 and VRMS as Vm by 2 divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. And for ideal diode, VRMS is Vm by 2. Okay, there's a doubt here. Umair has asked why it is not Im by root 2. Okay, very good question. Because Im by root 2 is the RMS value of a sinusoidal signal which has both the half cycles. Okay, it has got both the half cycles, but we are finding here the RMS value of the load current of a half wave rectifier which has got only one half cycle. In the negative half cycle it is 0, right? In the negative half cycle it is 0. So for that particular wave we are finding the RMS value. Okay, so but in case of a complete sinusoidal signal where there are both the half cycles, you will get Im by root 2. Okay, its value, that value we will again obtain in case of a full wave rectifier where we get both the half cycles. There if you find the RMS value, it will be Im by root 2. So there your doubt will be clear. Is that clear? Right. So that's about the RMS or AC value of load current and output voltage. Next parameter that you have is regulation or percentage regulation. So what do you mean by regulation is the variation of DC output voltage as a function of DC load current. Okay, so if the load current changes, by what value the DC output voltage should change. So that gives measure of regulation. So ideally, the regulation has to be zero. That means if the load current changes, then output voltage should not change. In case of an ideal diode, output voltage is not a function of load current. That's why ideally regulation has to be zero. But in practical cases, there will be some small value which changes as a function of load current, and that value percentage regulation is given by this particular equation. You can write it as V no load minus V load divided by V load into 100%. That means if you are representing that in terms of percentage. Here, what do you mean by these things? V no load and V load. This is voltage when there is no load current. V no load stands for the voltage when there is no load current. What voltage? We are speaking of the DC output voltage. Okay, V no load is the DC output voltage when there is no load current, that or when the load current is zero. And V load, we also sometimes write it V full load. Okay, V full load is the or V load is the DC output voltage when there is full load current, or when load current is equal to the normal load current. Okay, V load is DC output voltage when the load current is equal to normal load current, right? So if you take those values and find this, you will get by what value output voltage will change if the load current changes. Okay, we take when there is load current and when there is no load current and find percentage regulation. So ideally, as I said, output voltage is not dependent on the load current. So V no load and V load should be the same. Okay, V no load and V load should be the same. That means even if there is load current or if there is no load current, the DC output voltage has to be same. That means ideally percentage regulation should be zero. If these both are equal, then percentage regulation should be zero, right? So zero is the ideal value. That means for a good rectifier, percentage regulation should be as less as possible. Okay, it should be as less as possible. So how do you find that thing? So we have this V load, that is DC output voltage when there is load current. So when there is load current means what is that DC output voltage? It is nothing but VDC. DC output voltage is nothing but VDC. Okay, its V load is output voltage when RL is drawing normal load current. That means normal load current is flowing through the load. That is nothing but DC output voltage, that is VDC. In case of half-wave rectifier, we have obtained VDC as Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. Is it right? VDC is Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. We have derived this yesterday. Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. That is V load. That means voltage when there is output voltage when there is normal load. Another thing we have in that equation is V no load. What is no load condition? When there is no load or the load current is zero. When can the load current be zero? When the resistance is infinite, right? Load current is zero when the resistance is infinite. When there is infinite resistance, it will not allow any current to pass through it. If you substitute that resistance is infinite here, RL is equal to infinity here. So anything divided by infinity is zero. If you substitute RL is infinite here, anything divided by infinity will give you 0. So 1 plus 0 is 1. So what happens if you consider RL is infinite, then this will change to voltage when there is no load. Okay, so when voltage when there is no load current is Vm by pi divided by 1, which is nothing but Vm by pi, right? So voltage when there is no load current is Vm by pi, because we have considered RL as infinity. So now we have got the expression for voltage when there is no load current, and this is the voltage when there is a load current. Just substitute these two in this particular equation. So V no load is Vm by pi, V load is Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by RL. So if I substitute them, this is V no load, this is V when there is a load, and this is V load. Okay, this is V load. So what do you get? So I can take Vm by pi common in between these two. Is it right? Vm by pi is common. If I take Vm by pi common, what will remain here? 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. And even in the denominator, there is Vm by pi, right? So Vm by pi, if I take common, it will be 1, the factor is 1, minus 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl, divided by Vm by pi, if I keep it here, into 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. Is it right? Now what you observe, Vm by pi is common in the numerator and denominator. It is common in the numerator and denominator. I can cancel them. So what remains then? What remains? Here you will be 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. If I take LCM as 1 plus Rf by Rl, then this term will go to the numerator as 1 plus Rf by Rl minus 1. Is it right? 1 plus Rf by Rl minus 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. It's the common denominator. 1 plus Rf by Rl minus 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. And in the denominator, we have again 1 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rl. So this denominator term I can cancel, right? Denominator term I can cancel. 1 plus Rf by Rl term I can cancel. If this cancels, the denominator will become 1. And what remains? Here there is 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. What remains is just Rf by Rl. Right? If I simplify this, what remains is only Rf by Rl into 100%, obviously. So the percentage regulation is actually the ratio of the diode's forward resistance to the load resistance. Right? If you're mentioning it as percentage, you multiply that value with 100 and write this. Right? And as you have seen in the case of an ideal diode, Rf is 0. So that's why we observe that in ideal diode Rf is 0, so percentage regulation is also 0, just like we had stated in the beginning. We have obtained the same thing for an ideal diode. Since Rf is 0, percentage regulation is 0. So what that means is the change in the load current should not have any impact on the output voltage, ideally. But there will be some impact, and that is obviously because, as you have seen, it is because of the diode's forward resistance. There is a small change in the output voltage as a function of the load current. Okay, so there is another parameter which is very important one, that is the efficiency of a rectifier. We call it rectification efficiency. What do you mean by efficiency? Efficiency is actually how much power is utilized in the circuit, or how much of the input that you give is obtained at the output. That gives you the measure of efficiency. Rectification efficiency is defined as the ratio of DC output power to the AC input power supplied to the rectifier, right? Ratio of output power to input power. Here the output is DC, whereas input is AC. So DC output power to AC input power. So output power is PDC. You can write output power as PDC, and input power you can write as PI, which is AC. PI is AC input power. So this gives the equation for rectification efficiency. Eta, this is the symbol is called eta R. R stands for rectification efficiency of a rectifier, or rectification efficiency. It is output power divided by input power. Your output is DC power, so you write it PDC, and input is AC power, so you write it PI. When it comes to DC output power, so the output power is the I square into load resistance. At the output, you have only the load resistance along with the, the current is flowing only through the load resistance. That's why we can write it like IDC square into RL. So since it is DC value of the power, you consider DC value of the current and the load resistance, right? In case of a half wave rectifier, what is IDC? IDC we have seen as Im by pi, right? IDC we have obtained as Im by pi. So it is Im by pi the whole square into RL. So Im by pi whole square is Im square divided by pi square into RL. So you can write it like this: Im square into RL divided by pi square. So this is my DC output power. Okay, it is DC output power. Then what will be AC input power? At the input, it is AC value, So we have to consider the AC value of the current. AC value is RMS value, right? AC value is the RMS value. So it is IRMS multiplied by at the input, there is from the input side, if you observe, there are two resistances coming into picture. One is the forward resistance of the diode, another one is the load resistance. So you have to consider both. One is the forward resistance of diode RF and the load resistance RL, right? They are in series, so RF plus RL. And what is the value of IRMS in case of a half wave rectifier? It is Im by 2, right? It is Im by 2, the whole square into Rf plus Rl. Im square divided by 4. You can write this as Im square divided by 4 into Rf plus R. So we have seen PDC is Im square RL by pi square, and Pi is Im square by 4 into Rf plus RL. So these two, if I substitute in the equation for efficiency, I'll get it like this. So this is PDC by Pi. PDC is Im square into RL divided by pi square, and Pi is Im square by 4 into Rf plus RL. You can just cancel Im square and Im square, which is there in both the numerator as well as the denominator, right? You can cancel Im square. Then what remains? The 4 is there in the denominator of the denominator. See here, 1 by 4 is there. If I take it to the top, it will become 4 by pi square. It will become 4 by pi square into, here that will be RL divided by RF plus R. Now what is the value of this 4 by pi square? What is 4 by pi square? 4 by pi square is 0.405. If you calculate, 4 by pi square will be 0.405. So into RL divided by RF plus RL. This is the value of efficiency. Okay, this is the value of efficiency. You can also express this in terms of that 1 plus Rf by RL, that is by dividing the numerator and denominator by RL. You get it like this, right? 0.405. RL by RL is 1, Rf by RL plus 1. So 1 plus Rf by RL. Now if I want it to be in terms of percentage, I can multiply it by 100. So if I multiply by 100, I'll get 40.5 percentage. So this is the value of efficiency we have, right? That is 40.5 divided by 1 plus Rf by RL, that much percentage. So what do we mean? Only 40.5 percentage of the input is coming at the output. Or it will be more clear when you take for an ideal diode. In case of an ideal diode, we say the maximum efficiency is HU because RF will be equal to 0. If RF is 0, the denominator will become 1. So what remains is only 40.5 percentage. If RF is 0, it is the maximum efficiency that is obtained. It is just 40.5 percentage. So what happens to remaining 60% or remaining 59.5 percentage? It is wasted in the circuit, right? 50 percentage is directly removed when you remove the 1/2 cycle of the input, and remaining 10 percentage or 9.5 percentage, it's getting wasted in the circuit, right? So that we have this, right? Maximum efficiency 40.5. So efficiency is PDC by PI, that is 0.405. So PDC will become 0.405 into PI. So what that means is output power is just 40.5 percentage of the input power. The remaining 59.5 percentage, it is not used anywhere, right? That's why it is not a very good rectifier considering the efficiency. It has got a very poor rectification efficiency because if you give 100 watts, you are going to get only 40.5 watts. Remaining 59.5 watts is waste, right? So it is not used more in practical applications, right? This is one of the parameters, that is rectification efficiency. In case of half wave rectifier, maximum efficiency we can have is just 40.5 percentage. There is another parameter, that is the ripple factor. See, our AC, even though we have converted it to DC, that is not a pure DC. It is a pulsating DC. That means there is some AC component in the output. This ripple factor will give you the measure of how much AC component is there in the output, right? So in pure DC, the AC component has to be 0. In case of a pure DC, ripple factor is 0. But ours is not a pure DC, what we have obtained from a rectifier. There is some AC component, right? So this parameter, ripple factor, gives that measure of that particular AC component. So it is the ratio of RMS value of AC component present in the rectified output to the DC component of the rectified output. The RMS value of AC component, we can write it as VAC. Okay, this VAC is actually the RMS value of AC component present in the rectified output, and VDC is DC component of the rectified output. That is the VDC, DC output voltage. So how do you get this term? To get this particular thing, we have to start from the power equation. Since the output voltage, it contains both the things. Output, it has got AC as well as DC components. The total power can be treated as the sum of both AC as well as DC powers. Okay, it can be treated as the sum of both AC and DC powers. So power in terms of voltage, we can write as V square by R. So for the total power, we will consider the RMS value. For PDC, we will consider DC value. For PAC, we will consider AC value. So it is Vrms square by RL, that is equal to VDC square by RL plus VAC square by RL. Since RL is common, we can just eliminate that and write it like this. Now, if you divide throughout by VDC square, what do we get? If we divide throughout by VDC square, we get Vrms square by VDC square, that is equal to VDC square plus VDC divided by VDC square plus VAC square by VDC square. Okay, we are dividing throughout by VDC square, you get it like this. So Vrms by VDC the whole square, that is equal to, what is VDC square by VDC square? It is 1 plus VAC by VDC the whole square, right? So why we are doing this is we want the expression for VAC by VDC. Now, if I rearrange, I can write VAC by VDC the whole square is equal to Vrms by VDC the whole square minus 1. Then what will be my VAC by VDC? It will be square root of Vrms by VDC the whole square minus 1. So VAC by VDC is square root of Vrms by VDC the whole square minus 1. Now what is VAC by VDC? This is nothing but the ripple factor gamma. Okay, gamma is the notation used for ripple factor. VAC by VDC is my ripple factor gamma. So this equation, in this equation, if you put the values of Vrms and VDC for half wave rectifier, you get the ripple factor for half wave rectifier. So now what is Vrms in case of a half wave rectifier? It is Vm by 2 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rm. And what is VDC? It is Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by Rm. So if I substitute these two here, so what do I get is Vm by 2 divided by 1 plus Rf by Rm and Vm by pi divided by 1 plus Rf by Rm. Vm is common in numerator and denominator, it gets cancelled. 1 plus Rf by RL is common in numerator and denominator, it gets cancelled. So what remains is 1 by 2 divided by 1 by pi. I can write that as pi by 2. This pi, it goes to the numerator, and I can write it as pi by 2 the whole square minus 2. So if you substitute this, if you calculate this pi by 2 the whole square, you'll get pi square by 4 minus 1. Pi square by 4 minus 1. So if you calculate, you will get the value of gamma as 1.21. Okay, you will get the value of gamma as 1.21. So what this means actually, if the ripple factor is 1.21, ripple factor is actually VAC by VDC. That means VAC will be 1.21 into VDC. That means the AC value is 121 percentage. If you multiply by 100, you'll get the percentage. 121 percentage of the DC value. That means AC component is greater than the DC component, which is not expected of a rectifier. In rectifier, we want pure DC, but here AC component is more than the DC component. That's why half wave rectifier is not recommended for practical applications. Okay, we say half wave rectifier is not recommended for practical applications. One is efficiency is very less and the ripple factor is also very high, right? That's why we go for another kind of rectifier that's called a full wave rectifier, right? Before we proceed to the full wave rectifier, there is another parameter that we will see, that is the peak inverse voltage. This peak inverse voltage is, as you have seen, it is the maximum voltage in the reverse direction to which the diode can be subjected. So if the applied voltage becomes more than this peak inverse voltage, the diode gets broken down. That means there will be reverse breakdown and diode gets damaged. So how to find this peak inverse voltage? So to find this peak inverse voltage, we will consider the negative half cycle of the input when there is negative here and positive here. As you can see, during negative half cycle, the diode is reverse biased. When it is reverse biased, it will have the reverse voltage across it, which we can represent as minus and plus. It is VR, that is reverse voltage. It is the instantaneous values of the value of the reverse voltage across the diode. So when it is reverse bias, the current is zero. It is not conducting, right? When it is not conducting, there is no voltage across RL. There is no voltage across RL because the current is zero, right? In that case, what will happen? What will be the voltage across this? What will be the value of the voltage VR? The value of the voltage VR will be the same as the voltage V2, right? The value of this voltage VR will be the same as this voltage V2. So from the circuit, since I naught is zero, there is no voltage drop at RL. So whatever the value of V2 we have, it is completely obtained at VR. So VR is equal to V2. So what is peak inverse voltage? It is maximum value of this reverse voltage. Maximum value of this reverse voltage. Now what is V2? V2 we have seen, it is a sine wave. It is Vm sine omega t. V2 is Vm sine omega t. Now, what is the peak value of this particular thing? That is the peak inverse voltage. Whatever is the peak value of this V2, it is the peak value of VR, and that is the peak inverse voltage. So, what is the peak value of this particular signal? It is Vm, right? So, Vm is the peak value. Is it right? Vm is the peak value. So, peak inverse voltage is the maximum value of VR. The maximum value is nothing but, in case of this signal, the maximum value is Vm. So that's why peak inverse voltage is the peak value of the input signal, right? That is Vm. So that is what we have. So that's the peak inverse voltage of the half wave rectifier. And with this, we have actually derived the different parameters. We have completed the part of derivations. That is, we have seen average or DC value of load current and output voltage, RMS or AC value of load current and output voltage, regulation, percentage regulation, efficiency, ripple factor, and this peak inverse voltage, right? So in the next class, we will solve some numerical examples on this half wave rectifiers where we will be making use of these equations that we have derived.